Welcome to another episode of Under the Barbell Strength podcast. I'm your host, Colton Haynes, and if this is your first time tuning in, we'd love for you to follow and subscribe. Feel free to leave us a comment with any questions or topics you'd like for us to cover. The purpose of this podcast is both educational and an opportunity to showcase some incredible coaches I've had the privilege to meet throughout my journey in the strength and conditioning world. I think listeners will enjoy the diverse range of guests who will share their experiences in coaching, enhancing athletic performance, nutritional strategies, speed training, and exploring the mentality of being a strength coach. By uncovering the weight room philosophies and strategies that make these strength coaches successful, you'll gain valuable principles to elevate your own team's performance. So join us as we grow together one conversation at a time. Joining us today is Coach Cody Williams at Pitt State University. Coach Williams started his career at Wartburg College and later on achieved his bachelor's degree in exercise science from University of Northern Iowa. His master's came from East Central University in Oklahoma. Coach Williams has stops at UConn, Iowa State, East Central, University of Oregon, and currently the head strength coach at Pitt State University. Coach Williams is currently engaged to Alyssa, and welcome, Coach.
Hey, appreciate it. Glad to be on.
Yes, sir. Had a lot of stops at Division I, now at the Division II level. What are some commonalities that you see?
I mean, mostly just the training, there's not a lot of differences from a D2 football team to a D1 football team when you're talking about what you're training and how you're training the kids. From there, it's just kind of the help that you get, at the D1 level, you get 5 paid strength coaches, then however many interns you can get to work for free, so you got all hands on deck being able to do whatever, whenever. And I think that's really the big difference. And I'm lucky enough to do my grad schooling at a D2 school to teach me, hey, you're not going to have all these gadgets and all this technology, and you're not going to have the help either. So you're going to have to figure out ways to produce strength, power, and speed without all that stuff. I mean, it's nothing new. I mean, all the old literature tells you all the things that you can do with little technique or little equipment, really. So really, it's just there's a lot of commonalities when it comes to what you're training, and the difference really is the kids that you're training, how well that they can recover, and how well they can pick up on the things that you're teaching them. Because some of the things that I like to do with speed work, it can be complex, and some of those things they don't our guys don't get very easily, as well as like some of those D1 guys, they can pick up on it so quick, and it comes very natural to them. I think those are some of the common things, but some of the little differences, when you changed from D1 to D2.
For sure. So you started, early on in your career at East Central, a small school in Oklahoma, and then you go to Oregon. Like, how big of a difference was that?
Oh my gosh, it was night and day. I mean, and I get it. The resources that schools get, it's different everywhere you go. But at East Central, we had racks from probably the 1990s, and barbells probably from the same time too. So then you go to Oregon, you got 16 racks, you got Sornex racks, you got all the technology you could think of. We had perched when I left. We had all the velocity-based training stuff that you could want. I mean, it was night and day. But the cool thing about it was, being at East Central, when you only have a head strength coach and 2 GAs for the whole department, you're training 14 teams. It just gives you kind of that edge when you're talking about like knowing what to do at the right time, because once I went to Oregon, there was 15 interns with us. There was a lot of things that got picked up or there wasn't a lot of things that you could find yourself doing to make the team better. Like there was a lot of things at East Central that, you had to clean equipment, change things out on equipment, move things, clean things, all that stuff that kind of teaches you the little ins and outs of strength and conditioning. And then when you get up to the D1 level, you're like, oh man, I need to find value somewhere, and that's hard when there's 15 interns and everything's getting touched, like all the cabinets are getting clean, all the barbells are already clean, someone's trying to beat you there early to set up before you do. So, it's that just going from D2 to D1, it was just, I got to find value somewhere and show these coaches that I'm valuable to them. That was the biggest thing.
Super competitive for sure. So how'd you find that Oregon internship?
I got lucky, honestly. It's just like, if you work hard, I think sometimes you get lucky. One of the coaches that was there at East Central, he was our defensive coordinator. He ended up going to LSU after the year, and his buddy that he coached with at Wisconsin was the associate director at Oregon. He was just like, hey man, I think you've done a great job. Would you like an opportunity to work with Oregon? And now granted, me being naive, I was like, oh dude, this is a full-time spot. Yeah, I'm in it. I can't wait. And then I get there and they're like, yeah, you're gonna be one of 15 interns. I was like, oh yeah, so I just got my second degree and now you want me to be another intern. I was like, okay, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if I want to get my foot in the door, I was gonna have to start somewhere. And it just sucked that I went through 2 internships, did my GA, and I was like, all right, I'm ready to be paid. And then they're like, hey, you're gonna do 3 more years of being an intern. I was like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, well, it paid off for sure. Being
It did.
at Pitt State.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have asked for it to go any better, So I'm fortunate to be in the place that I am. So, I'll tell a lot of people this. It took me. I started as an unpaid intern at a high school for 3 years. So from 2017 to 2024, I was getting paid less than $1,000 a month. So that grind, it's something that it can't be taught. You just have to. Yeah, if you love it that much, you're going to go through it and you're going to grind no matter what and try and find the light at the end of the tunnel, and it ended up working for me. So, not everyone's story is like mine, and I don't expect everyone's to be like mine. But like, if there's guys that have been an intern for a very long time, it's like, hey man, you just got to keep busting your ass. Someone's going to find you at some point.
So was there like a moment in time where you're like, okay, like being a strength coach is something I can do?
It's kind of funny. When I was in 8th grade, I knew I wanted to do this field because I come from a really small school, really small town. I knew that I had no athletic ability when it came to like being a pro for football, especially. I'm 6 foot nothing, 220 pounds at the time. I knew I wasn't going to be much when it came to like going pro. So I was like, hey, I want to stay in sports as long as possible. And I just kind of, when you're in 8th grade, you fill out your next 4-year classes or whatever it was for your advisor. And I kind of picked all my classes to be kind of science-based, like physics, all that stuff. So that way when I got to college, I was kind of set and ready to start my career a little bit. I knew I wanted to play at least some sort of football in college, whatever division it was. And I knew that my path was going to be strength conditioning at the end of the day. So it just started from a young age. I enjoyed it. I had an older brother that him and his classmates wanted to work out all the time. So I was like, hey, take me, and it was one of those things where kind of fell in love with it because it was a process and it made me better. And I was like, hey, I'm not a very smart kid, so fuck, I might as well try strength conditioning, man.
For sure. And so has there been like a, significant learning moment in your life, or where a coach or a player maybe taught you something along the way?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to work with an ex-NFL player that actually got his degree in exercise science. So when he was at the high school, we were fortunate enough to have a guy that,
He did it all.
Had no business being out of high school. You know what I mean? Like this dude was.
Who was it?
It was Chad Reinhardt. So he graduated from University of Northern Iowa, played for the Bills, the Chargers. I think the total of 7 years, and so. Just a really smart cat, like really, really knew his ins and outs of strength conditioning, and he taught me everything when I first got into it. And man, like I can't tell you how much that helped me because I was just a young, dumb strength coach, like just trying to be like, oh, what's this, what's that, why do we do this, why do we do that? And man, he sat me down and we went through it all. And again, I spent 3 years with him, and the first year we were in a really, really tiny weight room. And when he first got there, he started pushing to get a new weight room, and they built $1 million weight room with 16 double racks and a 40-yard indoor turf, a little sliver, just for warming up and med balls and pushing sleds and stuff like that. So he really built it from the ground up, and that was the first time I watched someone do that, and it was like very eye-opening. I was like, wow, like this is where you can take it, like even at the high school level, and I was like, this is cool. Like it's interesting. I enjoy coming here every day and working with these kids. I'm working with young men and women. It wasn't just I was working with a football team. I was working with all sports, and that's what really opened my eye up to being like, wow, this is a career that I would absolutely love doing all day.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit before we get deep into it. Tell us about your background real quick, and what are your core beliefs as a strength coach, values that you like to instill into your players?
Yeah. So my background, I'm from a small town in Iowa. Grew up with 200 people in our town. My dad graduated from the town with 12 kids. So like we're born and raised in Steamboat Rock, Iowa. Very small. So there wasn't a lot of opportunities, to get trained by someone good, to get a really good strength coach in high school. It was kind of all teach yourself. So that's the background that I'm from. Some people are from the hood where they don't have many opportunities like that, and I'm from just a small town that many people don't make it out. If they do make it out, it's not very far away. And so to be able to get out of the Steamboat has kind of been a dream for me, and just kind of see the world and what it has to offer. From there, went to school probably not even 30 miles away from my hometown, and they forced us to have to do an internship, and I was like just applying, man. I was applying to anybody, and UConn actually reached out or emailed me back, said, we'll interview you and all this stuff. And funny enough, when I got out there, they had fired the strength coach, and I moved out there for 4 months, and I didn't even know if I had a job when I first got out there because I didn't know that they got fired and any of that. Nobody told me. So I get out there, and I'm trying to connect with a new strength coach and being like, hey, man, I'm from Iowa. Like, I apply with the old staff. I'm out here. Like, let me just be an intern. And it worked out. He was an awesome dude, Coach King. Now he's at Michigan State. I learned a lot from him because I was the only intern. So he was very open to me just coming in his office, sitting down, having a good chat with him. Like that was something that kind of opened my eye, and like, hey man, like all these strength coaches aren't all the same. Like some of them are going to be really helpful and help you out and open their door and really let you in and learn. So that was awesome. And then went to Iowa State for the summer. Eye-opening experience because it was a total 180 shift from what I had at UConn. I was one of 4 interns. But it was just tough in the fact is like our workouts were in the afternoon, but they made us get there at 6 a.m. So we were there from 6 to 6, sometimes just cleaning the whole weight room. It was just what it was, and learning how to be an intern and doing the right things at the D1 level. After that, I finished my schooling. I actually went to be a car salesman for about 9 months during the COVID because nobody was taking GAs or anything like that. So I went and did that, and I was like, I hate my life. I absolutely cannot stand doing this. I don't want to sit at a desk all day. So then I ended up going to grad school, and then kind of the story writes itself from there. I spent 3 years at Oregon, learning under some of the best coaches that I possibly could. And that's where I really developed myself as a coach, I believe, just because, you're embedded around some of the better coaches. And not just strength coaches, I'm talking like football coaches as well, sports scientists, athletic trainers, some of the best in the business. And you can really learn a lot if you just kind of drop your ego and allow yourself to learn. Because there's a lot of people over there that will, close their door if they don't want to teach you, and that goes on being a good person and doing the right thing and just, asking good questions at the right time.
So tell me about you at Pitt State. Are you over football, but is there any other responsibilities you hold?
Other than being the nutritionist and what else do we do? Nutrition and sports science. We use Titan units, so we do GPS stuff, and we're lucky enough to team up with a grocery store in town that helps us out, and so we spend about almost $1,500 a week on food and just stocking our fridges downstairs and stuff like that. So. The nutrition part is obviously a huge bit of it, when you're talking about getting kids bigger and stronger and faster, but also keeping them healthy. We had lots of talks this year about, if you drop weight, you're more susceptible to getting injured. You're at a higher risk, so there was a lot of nutritional factors in there that I was not ready for, and having a nutritionist at Oregon, I sat down with her a little bit and just before I got here and talked, but I was so in over my head on what I actually needed to know and how to help these guys that I was like, wow, I'm going to have to sit down and learn more of this instead of just talking to her once every few weeks and getting information from her. So that side of it was like eye-opening to me. I'm like, wow, I really have to dive into my nutrition and beyond that stuff. But the GPS stuff was really fun for me because I'm like, that's going to make you a better coach in general. Like learning how to do all that technology stuff and learning GPS and what you do with it and how you structure practice and stuff. That's been a big help. And so that's been a fun part. So we really only have football, nutrition, and then sports science. We don't do any other team just because we have a director that he does basketball, and then we have enough GAs to where they do the other sports as well.
Awesome. Well, talk about your trust and rapport with the athletes. Coming in as a new coach, because this is your first year, correct?
Yeah.
So, you coming in as a new strength coach, how are you building that rapport and trust with these guys that it's hard to do you got to do it over time, but you come in over summer.
For me, it's just always being true to yourself. The kids are going to see through fake faster than anybody. So if you come in trying to be someone that you're not, you're going to find yourself in a hole real early in trying to win these kids over. And that probably happened during the summer, and by then you're already screwed for building the culture and everything like that, So for me, it was just being true to myself and having the passion that I've always had for strength conditioning and making guys better. I think that was the biggest thing, honestly, is just proving to these guys that I care, because they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So it really, that was a staple for me. It's like I need these kids to believe that I care about making them better and care about not getting them hurt and doing the right things and telling them why we do things. There was a lot of things that I brought from a speed, like doing speed work standpoint, that some of the kids had never done before. So it's teaching them why we do it and how it's going to develop their speed and what it's going to help with, and teaching them before I just bark at them and tell them what to do, because I believe once you build that connection, it's way easier to get on their butt and make them work harder, or scold them or anything like that. They'll listen more because they know how much you care, rather than, I'm just here to make money and get the job done, clock in, clock out type of thing. I really want them to understand that, like, yes, winning is the ultimate goal, but if the only thing I care about is winning, I didn't make you better as a human, a man, a father, a husband, hopefully, and a son. So there's other things, there's more than just training. And I wanted them to understand that I'm a human too. I'm not just a robot. I'm not this monotonous coach that goes in there and this is what you do all the time and this is how you have to do it. I want to do it with some passion and some love and show these guys that I actually care. And I think that went a long way with the guys, because there were some guys that the coaches told me that would never talk to me just because of who they were, and by the time summer rolled around, they're asking me questions on why we do this or why we do that, or, hey, can we try this or try that? And I'm like, yeah, those are great conversations that we need to have all the time, because I'm not the smartest person in the world. If I'm learning from everyone, that's great. I want to. Like, you didn't see me as valedictorian, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everything that I say is right or what I put on paper is perfect. So, the day you stop learning is the day you stop growing.
Yeah, for sure. These are high caliber athletes we're talking about. These guys, and for them to want to be better and grow, like, that means a lot for you, and that's the trust we're talking about.
Big time.
You mentioned earlier, you got to wear a lot of different hats as a strength coach, not only as a strength conditioning, but the nutrition, the mental aspect of it. All that comes into play being a strength coach, and
100%.
You can't go nowhere if there's no trust with it. I like to say there's a open door policy here, and not that anybody really questions what we do here, but they just want to know why. They're excited why. Like, hey, coach, can we do those fly tens again? Because they don't do those kind of things,
Right.
It's simple to say something like that, but a lot of these guys just, they're eager to get better. They're eager to want to learn and do more. And I know it's the same with you at Pitt State. So, talk about your in-season workouts.
So I subscribe to Strength Coach Network. So I kind of actually watched the video on Brett Huth. Hopefully I said that right. And he'll be at the Kansas. He'll be also at the Kansas clinic, the strength clinic.
Hell yeah.
So if you get a chance, go to that. There's a lot of good guys going to that. But I just watched the video on how he kind of operated in his fall camp, and then how he went into the season. He did a 5-day split. Every lift was obviously different, and so it was that. Gosh, I don't want to say it wrong, but it was the fact is that they didn't squat Friday or Saturday, because they obviously scrimmaged on Saturday, so they wanted to make sure through the 5 days they had an upper body movement on Friday. So that's how the 5 days worked, and then we broke it back down into 3 days. We lifted Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, with Tuesday being our heavy strength lift. We box squatted, half field box squat. We just kind of changed the variables on it, whether it was chains, bands, what tension on the bands. Sometimes the height of the box we changed a little bit. So just to keep them strong, we kind of used partial range of motion, so that way we could kind of load it up pretty heavy on the weeks that we wanted to get to 90% or close to it.
So you're going off for percentages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we went off percentages, yes. And so we kind of undulated it. I shouldn't say undulated it. We built it up to about a 90% every 4 weeks. And then that week after was obviously the new training phase, deload type of week, where they, built into those percentages. So we didn't change too much, which, probably is a shame on me. And that's, me being in my first year, it was something that we're looking back on going, hey, we need to change here and there and do something a little bit different when we get to this point. So, it ran pretty well. It went smooth. We actually, our Sundays were kind of our blood flow days, where we did a lot of bar movement stuff just to get blood flowing and they feel a little bit better. And there were some days that, we had to go to travel to Nebraska Kearney. And you probably know a lot about this from traveling a lot, because you guys travel a lot in your conference. But we had to go to Kearney, and it was a 7-hour trip, so it was 14 hours in a bus. And the next day we were like, guys, we're just going to do some yoga. We're going to do some stuff to just kind of reset your body. Nothing with a barbell. We just kind of took it off of them and said, hey, if we lift today, we may not get anything out of it. And, we might actually do more harm than good. So today's one of those days where we just kind of take it off. But on Tuesday, you better come ready to go because we're going to put a bar on your back. It's going to get heavy and it's going to get fast. And so Sean can probably talk a little bit more about what he did with the Devo group, because I truly believe that's where we made our money this year. Our Devo kids got really, really strong during the in-season. And I'll kind of let Sean talk about that because he ran most of it. And I'll say it again. I really thought that's where we made our money because our scout team got better because the guys were getting stronger, right? And there was actually some guys that were in the Devo lift that started to see more time throughout the season on the field. And I put in some of their player evals. I said, if you didn't have the Devo lift, you wouldn't have been prepared to go on the field. The Devo lift is what gave them the best opportunity to play and perform at their highest level. And I'll kind of let Sean talk about that.
Yeah, so with the Devo guys, it's a little bit more fun, in my opinion, training them than the travel guys, because with the developmental players, we can get after it. They're not really doing a whole lot. I mean, on Saturdays, so they have like a full weekend to recover. So a lot of them, are still freshmen. So just kind of looking at, rocks in the bucket. What are the big rocks that a lot of these young guys need? And for one thing is rate of force development and overall strength. So in season, to keep the volume low, I like running 5-3-1. You can mess with that however you want. For me, I like to in season set my maximum amount of reps that we're going to hit, and we'll never go over that. And so on a deload week, we'll be at 50% of that. So for me, on my main lifts for like a squat or a bench or a trap bar, we're going to hit 9 reps in season. That's why I love 5-3-1. The repage is low, and then I like to get my volume from the accessories. Because you're looking at every exercise as a tool. That's how I like to view it, as a tool. So if we're getting strong, what is a great tool for strength? All right. So for me, I like to do either trap bar, safety bar, or we can do anything barbell. So for me, also before we hit any strength movement, we did a little bit of some contrast work, in the beginning, and then after about 8 weeks of doing strength work, we then went into strength speed. So hitting a little bit more power numbers, more 65 to 75. 80-ish%. And then, like I said, with the accessories, trying to get more volume, trying to get more range of motion, doing a lot of different movement patterns. One thing that we really saw a huge improvement with was, Joey G, back at the CSCCA in 23, he just talked about how raising your body's ability to absorb eccentric force can raise your potential for concentric force. So we went into box drops. So I like to slow cook that. It's about an 8 to 12 week thing there. So we'll have them hit 3 verts on the vert mat. All right, whatever your highest vert was. All right, week 1, you are doing box jumps from either vert height. Yeah, so week 1, jumps from vert, or box drops from vert height. All right, the next week, 3 inches above your vert, 5, 7. All right, and then after that, we'll go to a depth drop to stick, hold for 4 seconds, and then a jump. Work that the exact same way, plus 3, 7, or 3, 5, 7, 9. And then when we're wanting to help with the reactive aspect of it, now it's an altitude drop to a jump. And we use the jump mats to try to get their height, to raise that out, or to raise that competition. So we were lucky enough to have a guy drop from a 48-inch box and hit a 41-inch vert. So we saw pretty big increase there. We had a few guys that increased their verts by 4 inches.
Yeah, and that was like linemen too.
We had a few linemen increase their verts by 4 inches. So yes, that was really how we did that in season. It's kind of fun playing with new tools because, I also like to use the Devo lift to test out some theories for the next coming off season.
So y'all do, obviously the Devo group is separated from the travel guys. You said the travel guys go Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. What about the Devo guys? What days are they going?
We ended up doing the same thing. We didn't want to do more than 3 days a week for that, just because we knew the intensity of it was going to be pretty tough. Now we've been asked to add a day, so we're going to end up going 4 days next fall. So, I don't see us changing too much about that, just maybe adding another upper body day, something that just gets the test flowing and the juices flowing. Really, there was a lot of days that we had guys squatting over 450 pounds on their back. So it was one of those things where we thought we did a really good job of building strength and power at that point. A lot of guys increased on their vert, and one of the guys that got the 41-inch, he's a junior.
Yeah, he is.
So, it wasn't like it was a new stimulus that he learned how to do. It was something that he's always had. So. Yeah, we only went 3 days. It was something that worked for us, especially some days if we traveled on Friday, we did travel on Friday on most days. So it was just, we didn't want to wear the kids out because they are a scout team, and there were intense lifts that we were doing, and we thought it was working, and saw good growth from it. So we didn't feel the need to change, felt like. The guys still had good energy. They were still progressing in their lifts, getting stronger, and during the in-season, we run 2 30-yard sprints every Tuesday to hit our high-speed residual. So that's kind of how we kind of kept guys healthy from a hamstring standpoint,
So y'all are still doing the speed work in season 2?
Yes, yeah, we would still do that. We actually had two guys hit our highest speeds of the whole year in our last game.
Awesome.
We had a guy hit a 22.5 and a 22.3. And
so would y'all start maybe outside doing the speed work and then come inside and finish off with a lift?
So we're lucky enough to have an indoor right in front of our weight room. So we have what is it? It's 100 yards technically.
It's 100 yards.
I think it's 100 yards technically with no end zones. Okay, so we split it up into our high-low model. So we'll go upper body, lower body, upper body, lower body. We'll pair that with either tempo runs or speed work. So this year we're changing it up just a little bit, flip-flopped it. So we used to go lower upper with an acceleration day on Monday and a max V day on Thursday. Well, we just kind of want to flip that around this year. We want to go upper with tempo runs, lower with max V on Tuesday, and then get our acceleration work on Friday. So how we kind of do that, obviously we start on the field first, prime them, prep them, do all of our speed work, and then we'll go upstairs and hit our lower body days. How it works for us, we're going to do our tempo runs before our upper body days. I would love to do them after. It just doesn't work that way for us sometimes with timing and kids' schedules and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how we do it. And then Wednesday's off, and then after the first 4 weeks we'll kind of switch and do a 5-day split because we do like our county fair. I came from Alabama strength coaches that did the fourth quarter program, so I've done a lot of the 8-station, 4-station stuff. So I just we did a little bit variation of that. We did a 9-station, and I threw a little bit of contact prep in there. I was a wrestler when I was young, grew up knowing it because I'm from Iowa. It's just what we know. And so I just threw some of the wrestling stuff that I knew, like the contact prep, I threw that in there because it was something that we had been working towards. And then I felt like right before spring ball, if we got guys going out there and actually like being pretty aggressive and putting them in those shin angles and putting the stress on their feet and their knees and their hips, I thought it was very advantageous for us. So that was something that we kind of moved to. So we went Tuesday, Thursday were our mat days. Monday was our speed day, and then Friday was just like a competition, change of direction day. Yeah, and then Wednesday was just an upper body day. So we did 3 lifts Monday, Wednesday.
Got you. Well, it definitely worked because y'all kicked our ass week 0 this year.
Hey, all that matters is how it ends, man. You guys came out on top at the end, so you guys were rolling. I got to ask you, what did you guys do as far as the in-season stuff to keep your guys looking as healthy and as fucking fierce as they were? I mean, you guys in the playoffs absolutely mauled guys.
Juggernaut.
And that's what we're talking about. Like, we get to the end of the year and we look all right. Obviously we beat the eventual national champs week 1. That's great, but we just started to decline. And I take that on my shoulders because that's something that, if the guys don't look good, it's going to come down on us. So you got to teach us on what the secret sauce is right now.
So we can talk more about the off season. When do y'all start? What is your approach to that?
We start in about 2 weeks, so we can't start till after MLK. So we'll get like a short week. We'll call that week 0. We'll kind of have like voluntary workouts coming up next week. So we just kind of see the guys come in through the weight room every now and again. We'll run them a little bit. But when we get started, like I said, we hit the ground running with our 4 days a week. We're trying a little Poliquin this off season. We Sean and I, we ran a little bit of Poliquin this fall on ourselves and kind of enjoyed what it did to us. And so we're going to try his 753 with a little bit of negatives going into it. So we're going to try an eccentric block for 2 weeks, an ISO block for 2 weeks, and then we'll get into our five-day split in our county fair stuff.
Yeah, that's honestly what we do here at Ferris is we'll do, 2 weeks of negatives, 2 weeks of pause, 2 weeks of no pause, no negative, and then your 7th week is a test.
Yeah.
And I run a 5, not technically 5-3 on, but 5 then 3, 5, 3. And
yeah. That makes sense. It's just last January was my first full off season, so I just wanted to run what I know, and I was lucky enough to work with one of the better strength coaches over at Oregon, Coach Mark Davis. He's been in the game for probably 30 years now, doing multiple sports. He's done basketball, he's done football, obviously the last 12 years at Oregon. So he taught me how to do volume accumulation. Really, it was just we worked with injured guys over there right away, and obviously from atrophy, your muscles are very dead. You gotta wake them back up. How are you gonna do that? Sometimes it's either time under tension or just volume, and so we accumulated a lot of volume with those guys, and it worked. And so that was something that I wanted to try and run for the first 4 weeks here. Now, I will be completely honest and say it was probably a little bit too much for some D2 kids. Those D1 guys, you can throw almost anything at them and they're going to be able to recover. It's crazy. Honestly, some of those guys, they're just freaks, and that's the best way to put it. And so I didn't have that many freaks over here, which is fine. We're at the D2 level, and I need to understand that a little bit better. And so I probably threw a little bit too much at him too early. And now I didn't get anybody hurt or anything like that. It was just, you could see them weeks 3 and 4, they just came in, they're like, damn, man, like, holy shit, this is a lot. So I really had to back off from there. And so, we probably won't run that much volume this early again, but there will be a lot of time under tension with our negatives and stuff like that. And then just pairing the running in with it. You got to be smart. We use flying 10s just like you do. We time everything. So that's kind of where I like to go. Like I like to program for the field. I kind of let Sean do the weight room, and we collab and try and make sure that it's the best training module that we can use on these guys. So that's kind of how we're gonna.
Your sprinting days, like your speed days, is there like a theme each day? Like I guess to kind of tell these coaches what's your thoughts on the sprinting part. If there's like a Monday, for example, we're working linear speed Monday. Tuesday we're changing direction. Thursday we're angular speed, different angles, and then Friday we're working deceleration, changing direction.
Yeah. So I'll do two days of linear speed, 1 acceleration, 1 max V. Max V is anything above 20 yards, right? Mm-hmm. Acceleration is anything under 20 yards. Makes that super easy. And we like to throw decels in there because if it's linear, we like to do decels with it because it helps us teach how to decel while we're running, and to throw it late in the training session, we like to do it at the end just to get them to understand, hey, work your get off, now work dropping your butt and staying in position. So those are our 2 linear days. We'll go to our change of direction days once we kind of get our tempo base up. We'll start gradually putting more and more change of direction stuff in there. But our change of direction stuff is going to start very low level. Work your angles, work where you're pushing off of your feet, inside or outside of your big toe or pinky, crossover running, stuff like that. I'll talk about speed a little bit. When we do speed, we'll do our speed prep, anything from single leg holds, our wall drills, switches, A march, A skips, A runs, all those stuff we'll have to prep before just to make sure we get the position and pattern right, and then we want to hit the ground running after that. So we'll do our plyos with it. I like to do a banded staggered long jump. The staggered long jump just because it teaches you where your feet are going to be when you get set in a running position. So that way we can push out with both feet, project through the hips, and get going. Okay, so then when we get down to doing our technical or acceleration work, we'll do contrast with it. So we'll do heavy chain, heavy sled, or heavy prowler, and then they will go and do a 5 build 10 fly afterwards. So for us, the 5 build 10 fly.
Are they doing like the heavy and then straight to it, or are they doing like 4 sets heavy?
No, we'll go 1 on, 1 off.
Okay.
So when I was at Oregon, we used to do 3 on, 1 off. Mm-hmm. I liked it. I just thought when we got through to the 3rd one, our unweighted sprint looked slow. I thought that the rest was a little fast. And so I tried the 2 on, 1 off last year. I liked it. And then we went to the 1 on, 1 off in the summer, and it timed up a lot better for us. I'm not going to say that that's the best way to go, whether it's 3 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off, 1 on, 1 off. I just thought the one-on-one off was better, and it kind of proved it in some of the times. Some of the guys had better times because they weren't getting worked so hard from doing so many chain sprints in a row, So then we'll do all the timings kind of in the middle, and then we'll get a couple flies afterwards that aren't timed, just so I can kind of see them, and we can kind of, if there was something in the time flies that we did that I saw that was, from a technical ability or from your start or whatever it was, then we'll come out, we'll do our build-ups, and we'll either do a max effort build-up or an easy build-up, and then that way we can kind of, tweak you a little bit and not go over our, you really only want to get, 6 heavy sprints in a day, like full max effort sprints. So we want to stay kind of below that to start the first 2 weeks, do more banded and chain marches, just so they understand the position of what the acceleration is, like what is needed for acceleration. And that way the pattern, the position is right. And then once we hit the ground running, there's not a lot of coaching I got to do from that standpoint. It's really just, hey, your start was here. Hey, your chest rose up way too quick. Where are your eyes at when you're running in your acceleration? And then when we get to our max V day, it's anything that's straight up. The force is vertical when you're in your max V phase, and your ground contact force is, your ground contact force is just a little bit less than acceleration, but your ground contact time is a lot less than acceleration, right? The acceleration is the longest time your foot's on the ground, right? So then we're working things like dribbles, pogos, anything to be reactive off the ground. We do a lot of wickets. We do a lot of fast leg movements. Hurdle hops. Yep, we do depth drop to hurdle hop. We do triple jump. We're going to work same leg triple jump this year just to get reactive off the same foot. And then from there, we will build the flies out, right? So we'll start with a 10 and 10 fly, work to a 20 and 10 fly, work to a 30 and 10 fly. And we'll probably stop at a 30 and 10 fly. I don't need to go more than 40 yards, really. And then something that I really enjoyed doing this summer that was just kind of my own tweak, someone might have it coined out there, but it was just something that I wanted to try. We did in and outs where you build, hold, re-accelerate at the end. So what we did was actually looks. So they would build up, and then once they got in the zone, they would look left or right, and they would have to run with their eye. They would have to run straight while their eyes were looking at some part of the stadium. And then once they hit the second cone, they had to point their eyes straight forward and re-accelerate to the end zone. That was something that our coaches really liked, but also our players really liked because they understood why we were doing it, right? In football, 90% of the time that you're running without your eyes looking in the right direction, right? So they loved it, and so they gave better effort. And we actually had a kid hit a 23.2 miles an hour at 45 yards. Like he hit a PR, 30 to 40 yards down the field. It wasn't even in the first 25 to 30 yards. It was 45 yards downfield. So it was something that kind of opened my eyes. It was like, we ran it at Oregon, and one of the guys that was really, really good was Troy Franklin. Obviously, he's in the NFL now, playing for the Broncos. One of the best athletes I've ever seen running in and out, because I just had to tell him, and I just gave him a little hint. I was like, hey man, run this like a fade ball, run it like you're shaking someone off the line, getting into phase, looking for the ball, and boom, you got it and re-accelerate. And when he did that, I was like, oh, wow, like look at that rep, man. I was like, now that's coaching, and that's what got me fired up to bring it here. I was like, man, I just want to see some of those guys like kind of it click for them, and that was a cool part. And then we also, on our change of direction day, we started timing the so it'd be 10 yards total, but the timing gate is at 5 yards. You go 5, starts timing you go an extra 5, and then come back. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? I know I'm putting it like a jackass, but that was cool because I actually had a kid that tore his ACL, and he was faster planting off his affected leg than he was his unaffected leg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like he was, and it was one of those things where like he was having problems with his knee, like it would hurt at times. He had to go back and get another surgery to scrape out some of the scar tissue in there. So like he was a little weary about like, hey, the strength of my knee, how am I going to be? And then, boom, we do this change of direction time test, and he's better on his bad leg. And I'm like, look, man, like you're 100%, like you're better on your bad leg than you are your good leg. And from there, it was just like game on, So there were some things that we tried this summer that I was like, damn, hey, I might actually be good at this stuff. Something that kind of interested me, and I was like, let's try it, and it worked. And I was like, damn, that was cool. That That's why I'm in this business, man.
So how long is your speed work, and then is there like a break, and then you go straight into the weight room? Like, kind of explain that transition.
So we do 2-hour sessions. So we go an hour on the field and then an hour in the weight room. Now, granted,
Back to back, or
yeah, it's back to back. Hey, I tried to do it where it was 2 runs and 3 lifts. The kids didn't want it. They were like, we don't want to come back. We want to, once we go to class, we want to go to class. I was like, dude, I'm trying to give you an hour or 2-hour long break here instead of going straight from running to lifting. And they didn't want it, so piss on them. We're going to go back
to it. Is
to
it one big group, or do you have two different
groups?
I'm trying to get a better picture.
We go 6 to 8, 8 to 10, and then if we've got a long laundry list of injured guys, we will do a separate lift with them at 11. Gotcha. So that's how we kind of, with 2 coaches, it makes it difficult if there's a lot of guys that are injured that are like, hey, what do I do here? What do I do here? While I'm trying to watch, 50 other guys. So we like to break it down, give them a sheet of paper, we'll follow them, we'll track all their weights and stuff like that, the old school way, piece of paper and pen, and we'll do it that way if we have a lot of injured guys. But we did pretty well this season. We didn't have too many injuries, knock on wood, yeah. And so we don't have too many guys that are in this injured group. We got a torn bicep, and we had a back injury that he went to get infused on his back, whatever it was. So it's gonna be a while with that one.
That's good times as a good strength coach. Then your availability, like I said, like these coaches want their guys available to play.
Exactly.
And if you're doing that, that's a great job on your part.
And I think that's something that I learned very heavily at Oregon. The 2 years I was with Coach Lanning, it was availability. Mm-hmm. The only thing I care about is availability. And so, like, the first year we only had one major injury, and the next year, things happened. But the first year I was there with a different staff, we had 15 season-ending injuries. We had a whole
in-season or
group.
off-season?
Well, what'd you say?
In-season, correct?
In-season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 15. And so when we went to the bowl game, we had a whole injury list because we had that many guys. Like, we had to use all of our interns and everything because we had that many guys injured. Just what it was, and that kind of opened my eyes. After the fact, I was like, okay, like, availability is the only thing that we need. Like, I don't care how strong these guys are. At the end of the day, like, there's going to be a guy that squats 315 that could probably whoop someone's ass that squats 600 pounds. Like, it just doesn't matter. It matters about technique, where you're at, like, knowing the assignment, having confidence, being a dog, like, all those things play into a fact of that. And so, like, at the end of the day, availability is your best ability. So that's the only thing that's the only thing I really cared about in this in-season. I was like, our guys are strong, our guys are fast, we've proven that. Let's just make sure that, our product is out there on the field.
For sure. You talked about the timing gates and everything. What other technology do y'all have at Pitt State?
We actually just got force decks. So we got force plates, we got a Nord board, got a force frame. Now we just got it this week, so we're playing with them now. I was lucky to have them at all that stuff at Oregon, so I know it decent. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I could fucking take you through an introductory course, but I could definitely run a couple of things. So we're going to get into that. We don't have any velocity-based training stuff.
No, sadly.
Yeah, sadly we don't have any of that. Now we have 16 Titan units. I'm thinking about going to Catapult. But I'm going to get around 30 to 40 total this next year. So really, that's all the technology that we have.
What about Team Builder? You could talk about that.
We use Team Builder. We have iPads.
Use Team Builder in, like, when they come work out. Like for example, I only use Team Builder when they're away.
Right. So we have iPads at all of our racks, so then they can put all 4 of their guys at their racks in there. Yeah, so that makes it really easy. If we didn't have the iPads at the racks, we wouldn't be doing Team Builder.
Talk about how we use Team Builder to track trends.
Oh yeah, and then Team Builder does an awesome job of, like, tracking trends and stuff like that. So, like, during the end season, we were looking at vertical jump height. We were looking at some of their weights. What was another one we were looking at? We were kind of looking at their flies, but that didn't really go into Team Builder. But those are the things that we were monitoring, and Team Builder helped us out with that. There's a lot of times that guys would ask us, hey, what did I do last week? And all you got to do is click on Team Builder, and it'll show you your history. So there's a lot of things that Team Builder helped us out with. But, yeah, that's really only the technology we have, from GPS to iPads in the weight room. We just now got force decks. So there's some things that we're getting that it's exciting. The next step is kind of getting our velocity-based training stuff, I think. Yep. Whether it's VMAX Pro or
that stuff's great. Raises competition.
There's so much of that out there, but it just costs so much money right now.
Yeah, so that was going to be the next question I asked is what do you wish you had, but you just answered that.
Shit, doesn't everyone
Tendo.
wish they had
Yeah,
a
it's
elite
always,
form?
keep going.
Yeah, I mean,
Love gym wear.
I'll tell you this. I wish I had a couple run rockets. Run rockets are
Oh
1080s.
man, that's what I've been wanting. I've been saving our money up for those.
Yeah. So, maybe if we win a couple more games next year, I'll splurge and be like, hey, can we get a couple run rockets?
I might have to use that card this year.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You're in the honeymoon phase right now. You can get whatever you want. Just ask.
The guy who invented the elevation mask,
Yeah.
he graduated from Ferris. So
No way.
We got dudes walking around like Darth Vader around here.
That's
so,
hilarious.
Just a weird NIL deal that they have. But,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So our weight room was donated by Bob Lepke. He was the founder of Pro Maxima. So all of our weight room is Pro Maxima and it's been donated.
Yeah.
We have 29 racks in our weight room. Like it's massive.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that at the game.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, no, I wish I could have a run rocket just because I just force velocity profiling some of these guys would be so fun because we do have some guys that are fast enough that probably could and benefit from some of that stuff. So just even if I use it for pro day stuff, that would be cool. Just to get one or two just to test them out and try it. I think that would be really cool. I think everyone would love to have some sort of velocity based training.
For baseball, I'd love to have the Proteus.
I don't even know what that is.
It's just a rotation machine.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
incredible.
Yep. And so, is there any recommendations that you want to give to other coaches, young coaches, high school coaches? Like, what should they be doing now? Like, any reads, articles, resources like that you do that you'd want to throw out there?
Man, I'm a big guy on Strength Coach Network. Like, I think that's a great network for young coaches to, like, I don't have all the answers for those young strength coaches, but that website really does. Like, it'll help you with being an intern, being an aspiring strength coach, being a full-time guy, being a head guy. Like, it's helped me out in so many avenues that that's what I would push. Other than just getting out there and getting the experience, just keep learning online from people that are well-developed in what we do. Just nothing beats experience, honestly. Like, and putting yourself in a very uncomfortable situation. I'm from a small town. It was very hard for me to leave and go 18 hours to Connecticut. But guess what? It made it a lot easier when I wanted to go to grad school somewhere. It made it a lot easier when that guy gave me an opportunity to go out to Oregon. It set me up for success because I had to put myself in an uncomfortable situation. So just keep trying to, make connections, network, do all those things that you need to do at a young age to put yourself in a good position for the future. Because it's about who you know, not what you know.
Agreed.
There's 1,000 kids that are way smarter than me and deserve this spot more than I do. But I just knew the right person at the right time, and I'm trying to do my best, and I'm trying to be as smart as I can. But again, I'm not the smartest guy, but I knew the right people and I made the right connections to get to this point. Hopefully I do my due diligence for these guys. So I just don't be afraid to work for free, man. Like, I worked for free for so long, and I hated myself for doing it because I was like, man, all these other kids are making money now. They're in their career, and I'm still a full-time intern,
Yeah.
And it sucks, but like, that's the only way you're going to network. That's the only way you're going to get people to believe in you and trust you. Like, if you've never worked for them, it is very, very hard to get their recommendation or reference for anything. Like, nobody is going to refer you just because you reached out to them on an email. I can't imagine how many emails I get a day now, just being a head strength coach, from either athletes wanting to come to our school or just people in general wanting to be a strength coach. It's like, dude, you got to work for me. You got to work for someone that knows me or whatever if you want to get your foot in the door. Like, there's too many people in this industry, and it's watered down way too much now to the point where, like, you have got to work for the guy if he's going to give you a reference, man. Like, nobody's just going to give it to you just because you're smart.
And then lastly, any shout-outs? Anybody you want to give a
Hey, shout out anybody I've worked with, man. Like, I know I know I can be an asshole at times, and I know I'm a little squirrely, but hey, man, like, my mentor, Jaworski Beckham at Mississippi State, speed coach, check him out, man. He taught me everything I need to learn in the speed field, and he's well connected with a bunch of guys. I'm in a group chat with a bunch of strength coaches. Shout out them. They're some of the best guys that help me out, and and that's all I could ask for, man. Just older guys helping me out and making my career a lot better, and networking with those guys. I got a couple buddies that are in the NFL in that group chat. If I just shoot them a question, they'll answer right away. So shout out those guys. down-to-earth people that are in the right position, and they deserve everything coming their way. So appreciate those guys. And appreciate my boy Sean right here, man. Like, he's the same age as me. He's been here for 3 years. He's looking for a job, and he works his ass off. Yeah, I mean, I need to get this guy a job. He's way too good to be my assistant anymore.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So.
All right, Coach. Thanks for everything, man. Thanks
Hey,
for
appreciate you for real. Seriously, thanks for having us on. Hey, good luck this off season. We'll see you August whatever up at your place.
Stay healthy.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. You can also follow us on Instagram for more updates at Under the Barbell Strength Podcast, and if you know someone who would love this episode, please share it with them.